Hey guys, it's Scott
and Ben with House in Progress. We're going to show you today how we're doing a rock feature wall using some concrete backer board and then these prefabricated rock tiles. So these make it really easy to do and pretty cost effective as well. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so we're back in the project here. Our first step we've already done. We've ripped out all the drywall because it's not actually going to be strong enough to hold all of our heavy rock pieces up. So we're going to put some concrete backer board that we can get a nice strong bond to.
And before you can have a good strong bond with your backer board, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough support behind the backer board in the form of these 2x4s. As you can see, the spacing on ours is really good around the fireplace, where we're always going to have something good to screw into. If we didn't have this, what we would need to do is actually add some more 2x4s and screw them into the surrounding ones so that we could have something to bridge the gap there and have a good firm base for our backer board.
The first thing you're going to want to do is make all of your cut lines, and then take a straight edge, in our case this old shelf, and your scoring tool, and go over those cut lines. You're going to have to go over them multiple times before it's easy to rip that piece away from the rest of the sheet of backer board.
Make sure to mark out where your 2x4s are so that you can have a good foundation with your screws. And you're also going to probably need to buy some specialty screws depending on the type of backer board that you go with. Generally they'll be in roughly the same areas where you're purchasing the backer board, and there's some for hardy or for concrete backer. You're going to want to push very hard against the screw and make sure that you have a good firm grip on it so that it doesn't strip and that it goes in easily into the backer board.
Okay, so one of the most important things you want to do when you start your rock wall project is to make sure that you come up with a plan right at the beginning. So we want to take our panels, we want to measure the height of these panels to make sure that we know exactly how they're going to fit on our wall, and we suggest that you also can lay these out, and any uneven cut is going to be at the very bottom where we're less likely to see it. Okay, so now we're looking at the bottom of our fireplace, and the first thing you'll notice is you can see that we have some cardboard underneath our first row of tile. That's to provide some kind of shim so that we have about an 1/8 to 1/4 inch depth in between our floor and our first row of tiles, so that in the future, anytime we replace the floor or do any renovations, then we can easily do that without ripping up our wall. Next, you can see we have tape on the bottom of the fireplace here. That's marking the center, so that when we start this project, we're always building out from the center, just to make sure that we're keeping it as clean as possible. When you start to lay your tile, you want to spread a little bit of thin set on the back of the tile evenly so that it adheres to the wall better. This is called buttering the tile. In our case, for the bottom row, we're not going to put any on the wall. We're just going to make sure we have plenty on that first tile. And that's only because of how thin this first layer is. And as you're putting on each row, you want to make sure to check that each row is level, because this is going to be really important as we move further up the wall so that the entire wall stays level. Now for the rest of the wall, you want to butter the tile first by putting a thin layer and making sure you get in all the grooves, especially with this type of rock. And then go ahead and put a good amount of thin set on the end of your trowel to make sure that you can get enough for a whole tile space. Then you'll take it at a 45-degree angle, drag your trowel up the wall, and try to keep the notches evenly spaced so that we get a nice even layer of thin set all the way up the wall under the tile. And then go ahead and press the tile onto the wall and use a rubber mallet to hammer it on, because we want to make sure we're squeezing all the thin set into all of those cracks of the rock and getting it as close to the wall as possible. Then go ahead and check to make sure that that row you just put on is level, so that all rows on top of it stay level as well. We'll speed this up so you don't have to watch us do the whole wall, but the process is generally the same for the entire wall until we get to the top. You're always going to want to spread a good amount on the wall using your notch trowel, and also butter the back of each tile so that it adheres to the thin set on the wall. And then when you get to the top, you might need to build a brace like we did to hold up the middle layer of tile that goes over the fireplace. Always check to make sure that's level, and you'll want to leave that brace in place for at least 24 hours so that the tile can set and you're not going to have anything fall off later. Thanks for watching and good luck with your own project. We're back here to do... Okay, let's do it. All right, let's jump in and get started.
Are you looking at me at the end? I've been looking at the camera. To our audience.
Audience, okay.
And looking at the camera.
I wasn't looking at you, but let's do it one more time.
You looked at me.